The film was very informative to us as Americans, and I know that we need to know what's going on. We need to be made aware of the danger and the threats that are made toward us as Americans.
Uranium is important because many Americans have just been complacent. When they hear of sanctions, they believe that the sanctions are the answer. We need vital awareness on all areas of American life and on the political scene, that everyday people should be proactive in getting in touch with their members of Congress to be able to reach out and handle every type of tool we have, whether it's military, whether it's working internationally with our partners and friends and allies, as well as becoming very strict on companies who do any sort of business with Iran, because this has to be stopped for all our sakes.
Not only every elected official ought to see this film, but every citizen of the United States ought to see this film. It's a real eye-opener. The programs that Amit puts on widens the circle of knowledge, the circle of information. It is grassroots oriented, and it allows people enough information to talk to their elected officials and to try to motivate people in government to do the right thing.
I think the film is wonderful. It was riveting. It really hit the nail on the head so many different times. And I think every American should see it. I think every freedom-loving person should see it. It doesn't mince its words, and it doesn't just say something without backing it up. It shows everyone with the words and deeds of what the leadership in Iran is saying, that we have a real problem on our hands, and to sit by and continue to do nothing is only going to heap destruction on us and the whole world. I think it's time the world takes firm action and understands the threat. And the first thing we need to do is have the average person, not only in the United States but all over the world, understand the threat. This is, in my estimation, as dangerous as any threat the world has ever seen before now. It's just a tremendous problem, and it's something we all need to think about. If this regime ever got nuclear weapons, they wouldn't hesitate to use it, because, as was pointed out, rather than fear it, they would look upon it as something that is a positive thing to do. So I'm happy to have been a part of it. I'm happy to have helped to enlighten people. And again, I want every American and every free citizen of the world to see this film. I want to congratulate all the people who have produced and put together and done this film. I want to congratulate Sarah Stern, who's been my friend for about 20 years. She's always wanting to get the truth out, and her organization, Emet, means truth, and the truth is in this film. So I want to really compliment Sarah for this, and know that people of goodwill joining together will make a difference, and Emet has played a very positive and major role in helping people learn the truth.
Well, to me, as a Christian Zionist, this is very important. I think we have to recognize that deterrence, negotiations are not really an option anymore. We have to take a direct stand against these people. I don't know what that means. I think ultimately it will mean some kind of military action. Our organization, the Jerusalem Connection, I'm Jim Hutchins, the head of it, and we have our own website on this, but we want to get this film linked to our website. This is something that's very important, that has to have a wide showing. So thank you so much for having me. Well, Emet is way ahead of the curve here as far as keeping people informed to the threats not only to our own country but to Israel as well. And Sarah Stern is just, she's leading the charge on this in Washington, D.C. As far as I know, her organization is the only one that have people on the Hill on a regular basis interacting with the congressmen and the senators on the issues that are really important to us, this issue that we just saw from this film. So kudos to Sarah Stern.
Well, this film does a tremendous service for the American people, that the danger of Iran, their nuclear weapons, and the revolutionary philosophy that they are espousing for the world to its detriment, needs to be known and understood. And by watching this film, the American people can get a real idea of the history of the Iranian Revolution, what its threat is to the United States, to Israel, and to the world. And we at the Zionist Organization of America, where I'm employed, have been, along with Emet and other organizations, have been pushing this, and this film is going to do a real service in getting the American people to understand the nature of that threat. Absolutely, it's very little well known that inside Iran, the United States is one of the most popular countries in every opinion survey, whereas in some of our friends in the Arab world, the United States is one of the least popular countries. We ought to be supporting the struggles of the Iranian people to be free. The values of freedom that we espouse for ourselves are just as important in a place like Iran, and the dangers of a weapon in the hands of friends of ours is completely different than in the hands of a revolutionary Islamic jihadist regime like we have in Tehran right now. So I will look forward to the day when the Iranian people are free to express themselves and they can rejoin as friends of America, friends even of Israel. And I think that day will come. And the challenge is to get the word out, not only to the United States, but throughout the world about the threat that the Iranian regime poses. Well, and then having this program here on Capitol Hill is an extra plus because Emmett managed to bring together several congressmen, a large number of staffers. Many of these people understand the issues, but by being able to have them presented in this way enables our leaders here on Capitol Hill to get an instrument to express their support for doing the right thing in Iran. And Emmett has done a real service today by doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to add?
I didn't.
Who are you?
I'm Dan Pollock from the Co-Director of Government Relations for the Zionist Organization of America.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, that sounds pretty good.
My boss and her previous boss, more Klein. So as close as we are ideologically, we have some personnel issues.
Yes, unfortunately, whatever.
The Endowment for Middle East Truth has been one of the leading powers in Washington, D.C. in educating people about a Middle East that is extraordinarily dangerous, that is extraordinarily complex. They have a certain commitment, a fortitude towards presenting the issues in a way that are factually accurate, spiritually accurate, deeply accurate. And the work of Sarah Stern, who is an absolute powerhouse in educating American policymakers, should not go unnoticed. She is a wonderful American. And the entire country should be very grateful for her efforts.
I feel it's a moral imperative. Right now, Ahmadinejad is not only talking about a genocide against Israel and a nuclear Iran, which will change the power structure for not only Israel but the West, Europe, the Sunni Arab nations, and America. But he is preparing for one, and he's enriching uranium. He's working on the delivery mechanisms in order to deliver a nuclear bomb. I feel very much like this is very much like America in the 1930s. I think that Ahmadinejad is like Hitler, and I think that we have to learn to read the writing on the wall. One of the most important books I ever read was David Wyman's book, The Abandonment of the Jews, and he spoke about the failure of American Jewry to wake up during the Holocaust, and part of it was because there was so much inner divisiveness, and part of it was because they felt like they were strangers in another person's house. And we are no longer strangers in another person's house. We not only are welcome in the corridors of Congress, but we sit in the corridors of Congress. We sit in the offices of Congress, rather. And not only do we recommend policy, but we make policy. And I think we have a moral imperative to tell the truth. We can't match the Iranians in cunning or guile, and we can't match the Saudis in money. But we can use our mouths and our brains and just speak the truth.